I remember when I was 12, my parents and we took a tour at the Walt Disney Animation Studio in Orlando, and it was wonderful to actually see an animation studio, but however, it was apparent that the secrets that they have was definitely elusive to the outsider. Because here as a tourist, we were behind a plexiglass, so that plexiglass was pretty much like a solid metaphor for like that veil as mystery. But so flashing forward, I still wanted to learn animation, but just it was impossible at the time, because in order to learn, you would have to go to out-of-state university or a private college or even overseas, and it was virtually impossible for me at the time. Earlier last year or so that I started to take animation courses, and I'm telling you, I have seen so many online animation courses, but there was always still that veil of mystery. Flash forward to this year, I came across AMB's YouTube channel, AMB Real Animators Training, and I was blown away. I just couldn't believe, the knowledge that he was putting out there, the lectures that he was doing. It just pretty much ripped that veil of mystery off the face of the earth. And the thing that really sets his archive, his online lectures and stuff apart from everyone else is the basics. That's the one thing that a lot of the books, a lot of the online animation stuff lack, was the extreme basics, And when I started on that archive, I started understanding the spacing, the timing, the arcs, the slow in, the slow out. And with each exercise, it builds up on each other. And as a result, I start seeing, the arcs. I start understanding and timing things in my head. And it was just so fascinating. And because of that, it just helped revive, my lifelong desire of learning animation. And it just made me so happy that I'm able to pursue and to dream of becoming an animator. So thank you.
So, are you gonna join the library?
Hello and welcome once again to another edition of AMB Animation Livestream. You will notice the scenery is a little bit different. I've been away. I don't know, I'll be quick about this because we need to get on and do some work, because I haven't done a live stream for a while, but just to fill you guys in on what's been going on. So you all know that I'm originally from the UK. But I married a Kiwi in New Zealand, and the stuff with the lockdowns that have been going on was like a wave effect. So when England was closed, New Zealand was open, and then when everyone else was opening up, New Zealand was closed for a bit longer. While I was in New Zealand, my dad passed away, and my mum was on her own. She had my brothers, but I was mainly the person looking after her. And it was kind of heartbreaking because I couldn't be with my mum, and needed to get a lot of stuff sorted out in New Zealand, and needed to wait for it to be open and all the rules and everything to be okay for me to travel back and see my mum. So I've come back here to spend 2 solid months mainly looking after my mum, catching up, going to see my dad's grave, which I did. And pay my respects. And of course, that doesn't mean I don't have time for you guys, and I don't have time to carry on working like everybody else does with AMB Animation. We got a lot of exciting things happening. I've just got the Bible written up for one of the AMB animation projects that's being developed. And we've also got the theme tune. We've got the theme tune sung, which is going to be exciting. But as I came back, my Cintiq, my trusted old 12WX, just was unusable anymore. So I had to order one of these 16s. So I got one of these 16, but Amazon didn't deliver after a whole week. So I had to get a refund, and I was going to go directly to Wacom, but it wasn't really Amazon's fault, to be fair. It was the delivery service called Ups. It was just awful. So I went to another store and I got this one, and it came in a couple of days. And I must say that these little things are a gift to animators. These little, like, if you got a Cintiq and you use the keyboard shortcuts, I highly recommend you use these things, because it's just got so many shortcuts to do the flipping, the rotating of the desk, and all those kind of things. So what we're going to do today, I'm going to say hello to you lovely people first. This stream is entirely for you. It's going to be an amazing stream. We're going to study some milk cow. Well, I don't know if it's a milk cow scene, but I just call every old 60s Disney film. We're going to study some Robin Hood. I'm going to study his facial expressions. I'm going to explain to you what I see as I'm going to do it. I'm studying Robin Hood for my own reasons, because some of you have noticed my character has been revised, and I'm very much inspired by, I'm moving away. I'm not a fan of the 90s Disney that I used to fanboy of so much. As I'm growing, I'm going more and more back to the masters, the real masters. Like those guys were masters as well. I don't want to badmouth anyone, but I just want to go back to Milt Kahl, Ollie Johnston, Frank Thomas, those guys, and throw a little bit of my own stuff in there, as well as some anime that I've been breaking down and fusing and revising my whole style of drawing, to be honest with you, because I want to move away from that Saturday morning Disney feature of the 90s kind of vibe. Robin Hood for me is just possibly the best animal designs I've ever seen. So he's always been in the back of my mind when designing the Groundhopper, but now I'm going to want to look at his facial expressions. So I'm going to be making some studies of just a quick little scene of his facial expressions. You're going to watch me animate that today. I'm not going to waste too much time. It's only been 7 minutes, but I've already gave you a bit of a catch up of what's going on. It's late. It's 10 past 11 at night in the UK here, but it's kind of like similar timing to my usual streams when I'm in New Zealand, because in New Zealand it would be 10 past 10 in the morning. So that's when I normally stream with you guys. So let me just say hello to a few of you awesome people. Thank you for being patient with me and enabling me to do what I had to do. But I'm back now, and I'm going to be continuing the live streams. So we've got Garrett Mations. How are you? Deruji, good to see you. Dylan Draws, awesome. Zentron, my fellow UK buddy, but he's going to bed now. Max Power, how are you? Melody Sang, that's a new name. Nice to meet you. Red Fox, how are you? Renata, good to see you again. Shadow Cat, hello. King Fu Conan, good to see you. Mage Burger, yes, I am indeed back. Charlene Giles is here. Lovely little rabbit paintings on your Instagram, Charlene. Life Fantasy, you're going to enjoy today's stream. We've got some Disney animals for you. I understand. Thank you, Red Fox. Appreciate that, Renata. Well, I lost my dad a year ago, and the funny thing is he was I don't like, it's been a year now, so now I can talk about it. He was actually buried on my birthday. So I woke up, people saying happy birthday, and I had to go on a Zoom call and watch my dad being put into the earth. And then I was like live streaming away and being all jolly and whatever about it. But yeah, it was a tough time, and locked down, couldn't get out, couldn't go back to see my mum. But anyway, I'm back here now just to spend some time with her. So that's why I've been a bit offline lately. The remote is mine. Yeah, get the Cintiq remote. Ba-ba-bum. We have got Cameron Alan Davidson Black. Good to see you. Warren is Art. Hello. Copper Star. Okay, there we go. There we go. Right, so enough of the chit chat. You're all here to see me draw. Yay, Selena Nina, Kitcha Cat, the adorable Kitcha Cat. You're all here to see me draw, and don't worry, I haven't forgotten the group stream. I wanted to make the first stream a group stream, but I thought I did a little bit of drawing and colored in one of my ground hoppers to break in the new Cintiq. Well, it's all the same really, but so I want to do a bit of animation on it, and then we'll go looking at your work on the next live stream. Okay, right, so let me see if this works. Let me turn off this webcam. I'm gonna put my mic on, turn the webcam off. So you should still see my face in the corner there, but now, okay. That was a little study I quickly made to do the thumbnail for the live stream. So I'm going to delete that, but we're going to be doing this scene again. We're going to be doing this scene. So let me go to, I've got it pre-done on YouTube. So I've got it on YouTube here. Right. So let me just start. So the way that I start, let me just check. I've got to check my mic. Let me know in the chats, can you hear me loud and clear? Because I'm not going to be looking at this screen. I'm going to be looking at the YouTube screen with the Robin Hood on it. So I'm not going to be able to see my live stream, and I'm not going to be able to see the chat for a little while. Let me quieten that down. Okay, right, so I think that's working. Okay. So then, let me begin with this. Right, so I'm going to start with the old silhouette. I don't need this thing here. I'm just going to start with the old silhouette study. So I'm going to look at the... Let me put his ear in here, right? So if those of you, most of you are familiar with me and familiar with the way I teach and the things I talk about. But one of the things I really try to get people to think about more, especially the beginners, is silhouettes, right? Everybody learning online likes to get caught up in the details, right? You like to get caught up in the nice drawing. To me, a great silhouette is a nice drawing. It really is what seals the deal when it comes to doing quality hand-drawn animation. I'm gonna bring this guy down a bit. I've made his silhouette a little bit on the... I think that's about what we want, right? Yeah, so basically for me, I know I can tell this to people, but I didn't really understand it. I was always wanting to draw construction and use face construction as a crutch and things like that. But then as I started getting more and more back into studying this stuff, I wanted to be more and more like the master. So the master, Milt Kahl, he would always draw from the outside in. So I'm told. Right, now there's a camera zoom into the face. Now what I'm doing is I am just focusing, right? We've got our forwards, backwards keys, right? I am just focusing on animating the shape of the silhouette first, right? And then we're going to look at all the facial expressions. But what we want to do when we look at this silhouette is we want to pick up certain things, right? So here, let me turn the onion skin off. Here we can see its head is looking up, right? Let's just... What's my undo key on this button? That's my undo key, right? Got to get used to the new shortcuts with this thing. Right, so here we can see that the head is looking down now and the camera's zooming in. So even when we're looking at it, you know, in this basic state that it's in, we want to be able to see what's happening with the action, right? So we're animating a camera zoom in. Right, so that's the hat and the ears. You see how clearly this character is defined. That's why I love these characters. They're just clearly I just spat all over. They're clearly there you go, new sensei. They're clearly oh, that's a nice drawing. Wow. They're so clearly defined, right? So now his head, look at the space. I'm trying to mimic the space from one side of the screen to the other. So now his head's moved all the way back here, right? So his hat, from an arcing point of view, is coming all the way back here, and his ears are down here. So what I'm doing is I'm studying from this silhouette, right? Is I'm thinking a lot about the arc and all the laws of animation that you hear me always talking about, right? So don't just think I'm copying the screen, right? Because that's another thing. I've said it before and I'll say it again. What I call these animation breakdowns, right? I call them, they're not like breakdowns in terms of like keys, extremes, and extremes, keys, and breakdowns. They are simply me making a study of something. Now I'm making a study of the major drawings, the extremes and the key drawings in a straight ahead manner. Now I'm not just copying the screen, right? I'm thinking about the arc. So we've got the head looking up, the head looking down, then the head, so it's moving in a circular motion like that, right? So it's like dun 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 dun. Now let's go again to the next frame. Ooh, that's a nice frame. Very nice, right? So now let me just put that on there. So the ear has moved down some, right? The hat has moved down. The hat's at the back. Maybe you can't see that this is the hat, or maybe some of you can. Now this is a great squash and stretch face. Now this is the tip of the nose, what I'm drawing here. Now here we're really going to get to see awesome squash and stretch in the facial expressions. And I'm going to keep you waiting. Some of you might be thinking, the title says he's drawing facial expressions and all you're seeing is these shapes. Well, this is where the secret sauce is, right? Other people won't tell you, but I am, right? So now look at that. Look at that lovely movement in the head. Let me just check the status of my stream. There we go. I'll have a look at the chat a little bit later, don't worry. I can't see what you're saying in the chat at the moment because I've got YouTube open on one of these scenes here. Right now, so now he's going to close his mouth and the camera's continuing to, that's a straight in between, not straight in between, but just a straight arc, sorry. So this is just going to go just a little bit further up, and the nose goes a little bit further up here, and this comes up here like that, and we have some more. I think I may have made my brush a little bit fatter, but it doesn't matter. Really doesn't matter. We're not trying to be so precious with the drawing on this. So his head really zooms in here like that. So I'm not doing all the frames, but you can see already that there's a really nice movement here, arcing of the head, giving our character a lot of, let me just save this before it, personality in the head movements. Okay, so now his head's gonna come down. Okay, right, so that's again, I'm not going to focus on, this is not going to be fluid animation, right? I'm just focusing on the main poses so we can understand the expressions of the character's face, right? So this comes down here like that. The ear comes in. Oh, now that's where I'm slightly messing up a little bit. I'm not going to be 100% accurate, but it'll do, right? So he's going to lower his head. You can really see the law of slowing in and slowing out here as well as I'm working on this. Ooh, nice little head change in the angle, right? I may want to add the breakdown in there. Yeah, let me put this one. Let me do this one. So I'm putting in a breakdown. So now the hat angle, the hat has come into the shot here like this. All right. It's going to be great revealing all this stuff to you. Now his head is moving. This is still kind of moving here. Wow, this is interesting. This comes down. There's a kind of straight line here like this. Ooh. Is the camera still zooming into his face? Interesting. Well, let's just keep going. We're all here to learn, including me. Right? Ooh, now that's a so now I'm back in England. Some of you Brits will get this. That's a wicked drawing, mate. Wicked. Getting my old Southeast London. It's funny, I come back to England, I start talking to people on the train. All right, mate, yeah. Yeah. How you doing? Right, so you get this out here like that. This comes in to the head like this. I'm going to enjoy drawing this frame. At the moment, this is not really going to be making much sense to you, but I don't know if you can see there's a head angle change there. That is beautiful. That is, how many drawings we got? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 drawings. Okay. Let's just save that. Oh, and he closes his mouth. Okay, so he closes his mouth. What happens? Not much. Not much. All right. Oopsie. Pressed the wrong one. So it's very, very slight. This turns a little bit to this way. This is a little bit in the ears. Come up like this. Really, really slight. Then this comes up. Right. So here we see a slow into that. Right. That's how we really animate the good dialogue. You'll really see where this is going. Okay, and then there's one final lowering of the head. All right. Okay, so I think it's a nice, I love doing things. Even when I work out, I always count in sets of 10. So I love doing things in sets of 10, and it looks like we've got 10 drawings. My kind of number. I didn't even bank on doing 10 drawings, right? I thought there was going to be more, right? So 10 drawings is what it is. And then we're going to start putting some of those awesome Disney facial expressions in there. Right, so first, let's see how that moves. So let's have a look at that. Right, so we can see this head is talking and going backwards and forwards like that. Really nice motion. Beautiful. You know, these guys were so on point with their silhouettes. It's just, I mean, maybe because I know what it is, I can see it. Maybe you guys can't see what I can see, and I'm just like, but it's just genius. It's just absolute genius. Okay. Right. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to start drawing our character in there. Right. That's what I'm going to start doing. But before I do that, this is a live stream, so I'm going to see who have we got in the chat. Have we got any questions? Mr. Leon. Mr. Leon's in the give me a dab with the secret science, Mr. Leon. What have we got? We got Dee Dee in the chat. Good to see Dee Dee turning up. Have we got Dee Dee? I thought I read her name. People talking amongst themselves. Yes, Dee Dee is amazing, by the way. Charlene is saying, wonderful tests. I'm going to show you something that Dee Dee has done from Real Animator Training Library, just because. I mean, this isn't one of those streams, but since Charlene's mentioned it, this is our free Facebook community for you all to join. Dee Dee has posted this. I don't even think she's been through the advanced archive. She's been through the intermediate archive, but this is the advanced archive test of our 360 head turnaround. You can see that's a character design of my wife, the AMB lady, and Dee Dee has done a turnaround, and you've pretty much... I can't slow this down, Dee Dee. I'm not supposed to be giving people feedback on today's stream, but just quickly, if you're online, I can't really, there's not much I can say to fault that, really. That's that looks like pretty as accurate as Life Fantasy's recreation of that. Now, we're getting a lot of posts here that are not relevant to Real Animator Training or even hand-drawn animation. Sometimes I allow people to post in this group whether they're a library member or not, but it's got to be relevant to hand-drawn 2D animation. Or if, maybe this I could have a look at it later. But if you're looking to grow your animation page, no. If you want feedback, yes. But if you're looking to, hey guys, follow and share, that's not what this group's about. Anyway, I'll have to clean that up later. Just thought I'd if you're in the chat, Dee Dee, I can see Charlene mentioning your name. That was really amazing what you did there. And I don't even think you've been through the intermediate archive. So, thank you, Mr. Leon. Any quick questions we've got there? No. I might just work alongside AMB. I love these Robin Hood designs, yes. Okay, I can't quite see a question at the moment. I want to keep the stream moving, so I'm going to go back onto drawing now. But we're gonna be going back onto the drawing, okay? But if you've got any questions, keep up with the chat. I can't see the chat when I start doing these drawings because I'm actually following a video on YouTube, Prince John Arrest Robin Hood Scene English. That's what it's called. Okay, right, let's start with our drawing. Now, you see I've got the silhouette here, but I'm gonna use this. Now you're gonna see the ingenious skills of the old Disney animators and the design skills of Milt Kahl. Being a great animator is one thing, but being a great character designer is another thing, right? There are many people who can animate really well, but to design characters is a different skill entirely, And if I'm honest, I feel I'm only just starting to get good at it. I've been always wanting to design my own characters. But I've always been a better animator and draftsman than I have been a character designer. But now I feel, since studying Milt Kahl a lot, I feel I'm getting there, right? Okay, right. So let me now look at, now in line with this, we've got his eye line, right? So his eye is going to be coming here. He's got this angry expression. So his eye comes in here. And not his eye line, his eyebrows. Now in line with the bottom of his ear is where his eyes are going to sit, and also his nose, right? So this comes in here. We got a straight nose up here like this. I'm using this as an opportunity to not even look at construction, right? I'm not even trying to look at construction. I'm simply trying to relate to the silhouette of the character as I'm doing this, right? Relate to the shapes, right? So then we've got the other eyebrow coming up here with his eye. So we've got the eye sitting nicely in here. And don't worry, I'll point out that what I'm using, because I'm using hidden shape simplification and construction to get my drawings accurate, right? Even though it looks like I'm just eyeballing it. See, let me start with this. We got the bottom of the ear hair all in a straight line with the nose, right? We've got the eyes there like that. So hopefully that kind of reveals that to you. We've got this hair like this, the hat coming down. The hat's a little bit longer out there like that. Right, so now this is gonna come in a straight line down. It's gonna go all the way down like that, right? And then we're gonna have the mouth. Now this mouth is really cool. It's like goes up a bit, goes down, then it goes up a bit, right? And it goes down a bit, right? So what that does is that gives him this kind of like snout with this bottom bit hair, right? So it doesn't just look like a flat mouth on there like that. It gives it a little bit of, dimension, and it's really subtle. That's what I really like about this. That's why I want to move away from these 90s Disney things. I like the more illustrative style where the construction is there, but it's just less visible in the older stuff. So we got the chin hair like this. No, the bottom lip, right? Now, what we have in here coming along, now all of this is in line with the bottom of his head, right? So we're going to bring this in like this. We're just going to bring the ear in, around, and down, right? A few straight hairs. Another thing I like about the old milk cow stuff is they didn't really care too much about volume of the hair and the fur on the side. And in my opinion, it kept the whole thing just a little bit more alive, right? With my own groundhopper design, I'm not doing that because I want it to have a more rough edge to give it a slight spiky anime feel to it. But every time I do these milk cow things, I feel like, I want to change and go back to this. But then I don't just want to be a copycat, right? So here we go, so that goes like that. So that's all in line with there like that. Now we have the inside, another thing. You see, it isn't all clean and whatever. It's just like random drawings, not random. It's got a definite pattern to it. It like comes here and comes here. But they're not religious about how they make the lines. And it just looks so appealing from my point of view, right? So we've got that. The back of the hat comes down. My silhouette wasn't bad, actually. Pretty spot on, right? And now he's got his head, which is in the chain, like this, right? There we go. And this comes. I'm not going to pay too much attention to this thing because we're looking at the face, but he's got his head in some chains. There's only going to be one frame of this, so we may as well. Let's put it in there, right? And I missed this out. There's a big little thing, end of the rope. The big little thing, the rambling to try and keep my stream alive. There we go, right? So that's the first one, right? So now we're going to watch this thing come to life, and you're going to see how all these facial expressions and squash and stretch and arcing, and I'm going to explain it all to you how that works. Long live King Richard. I am king. Yes, indeed, Cameron. Okay, right. So let's move on to the next frame. So this is what we call the down. You see, those of you familiar with a walk cycle, downs happen in everything. That's why Mr. Williams likes to make his whole book about the walk cycle, because it pretty much preps you for everything, right? So we've got the hat, just gonna come along here like this. This comes all the way down, right? Then the other part of the hat comes in and down like that. Now I'm gonna sort out the ear. The hat is actually like a hairstyle for this character, right? It's his identity, which is why I'm spending so much time on it, right? It's like, if you don't draw the hat right, and believe me, I've studied this character a little bit, because I love him so much. I think he's probably one of my favorite animal designs ever, right? One of my favorite character designs ever. Screw that, animal designs. I just think he's just so appealing. So, but one of the things I noticed about him is, if you don't draw this hat correctly, it's like drawing the hairstyle on a character wrong, right? Because it's, again, when I was talking about good character design, it's integral to his design. Now we know that a long hair, right, is where we're going to have I'm just going to move my express keys, because I have them on a cup, on a mug as I'm doing Photoshop, but it's hurting my hands because I'm using them a lot more when I animate. That's better. Right, so I'm going to bring that down. Let's look at this. See, can we see what's happening here? Right? The angle of the hat is changing, right? I'm going to bring that in here like this. And you'll notice that I'm not doing as much flipping and rolling, because my silhouette kind of like does all that, right? I did all that at the silhouette stage. Now I'm focusing on the facial expressions. So we've got the bunching of the fur. Now there's a bit of follow through, overlap and drag as he's bringing his head down. Notice the upward arc here, right? As he's bringing his head down, there's a bit of drag, but it's not too much. You got this going this way, so you don't want this going all up like that. That's what an amateur would do, right? You don't want to do things like that, right? So this comes in, and we've got a little bit of the bottom of this chain thing here. I'm saving the face till last. Right, so we've got the chain, which is just moving that along there. The chain. I'm probably the only one in the chat that gets that joke. You're all too young to know that song, or maybe I'm doing you a disservice. Right, okay, so again, we're going to do the eyes, right? So I'm going to lightly kind of put in the eyebrows where they should be, right? And now I'm going to do a bit more flipping. So his eyebrows, and that's another thing I like about these old designs. The eyebrows are just really, they're not always so consistent. They get shaggy, they get furry at times, and then at other times they're really clean. I wanted to do that with my groundhopper, but I found that, you know, gonna keep some modern things in there, otherwise it'll just be. Anyway, let's talk about the expression. Now he's closing his eyes. Notice how the eye shapes are kind of echoing the eyebrow shapes, right? And we're gonna have the upper lids, right? And then the lower lids. Look at the squash and stretch in that eye. The lower lids and the upper lids. So we're not just having the upper lids, we've also got the lower lids going on in there, like that. Now the nose, right? The angle of the nose. Let me just color that nose in so we can see it moving, right? The angle of the nose is going to be like this, right? So notice how I drew this line, but then I'm drawing the nose in there like that. Even though it kind of fits all in, the reason I'm doing that is to give it dimension, right? I've got to give this guy some dimension. Otherwise, those are the things that are, if you don't understand construction and anatomy and all these little drawing nuances, if you're going to make copies of this thing, right? A lot of these things, little things, are going to go over your head, right? And it's just going to look flat. Now let's look at this mouth shape. This is awesome. So in line with the bottom of the eye, right, we've got a cheek line here like this. Now we come up and we come down, right? I've got to be very careful. See, again, this gives him that little bit of structure, but it's subtle. It's not like a big muzzle and with construction like a Lion King kind of thing. It's really subtle. So we've got this, which is the bottom lip like this. There we go, right? And now we've got this pattern of his inner fur, which comes like this and up and round. So we can see that there's some squash and stretch on his face. Also, I've missed his eye patch. So let's see, the eye patches also move with the squash and stretch. We've also got a inner line here like that, right? So his eye patches are moving with the squash and stretch too. Right, so that's 2 of the drawings down. Now let's move on a little bit. I think that's the one. That's the one, yeah. Now, so now look at that action now. Look at that. Isn't that just beautiful? The down, the arcing of the nose coming down. Now we're going back up here, right? So again, I'm going to start with this line that represents his hat. It's a little bit trickier. We're going to be a little bit more careful here. Look at that. Look at that reverse curve, right? Look at this, right? Then we go here to this, right? So we've got reverse curves going on right there like that, creating a perspective and dimension on the character, right? Subtle. Right, it's a very that's what I like about it. But this silhouette drawing could result in flatness, right? But what we have instead is the way he tapers, and that's what is sorely missing in today's 2D animation. Whether it's hand drawn, by the way, or whether it's puppet. I'm not here to now there's a slight error. They've gone and inked in the inside of his hat with the color of his ear. But it's only one frame, so they get away with it. I'm not here to just praise something because it's hand drawn, right? That doesn't score any points with me, right? I'm interested in hand drawn animation or 2D animation at its highest level, right? Which is what this stuff is right here. It's not simple things. It's not fast, quick moving action. It's flat 2D drawing with, when I say flat, I'm saying it to lead on to what I'm talking about, with really strong understanding of line and nuances, little nuances of curves against straights that create this image and this illusion of dimension. And it doesn't have this awful disjointed look to it. I see a lot of this, a lot of even the hand-drawn stuff that's coming back. I'm thinking, well, why bother? You may as well have just used the rigged cutout stuff. Your heads look so detached from the bodies, that it all looks like it's just made with software. It's like, what's the point? This is hand-drawn animation. Let's celebrate how strong the drawing is. Okay, right, so we're going to look at the eyebrow shape up here. And the nose comes here like this. You'll notice I'm taking a slightly different approach as I'm tackling this, because I want this to animate nicely, right? It's a little bit more complex what we're doing. We're moving the character from one side of the screen a little bit here, right? So then we've got his inner batch hair, and his nose is here like this, right? This comes up, down. You see how this inner patch of his muzzle or whatever is changing, right? They're not so precious about the volume of that. Yeah, can we really see now? Now look at this. Let me just get the eye. I really want to get this eye right. His eye is shaped like this. So I'm being a little bit careful here. He's got this kind of, it's not half open, but it's not fully open. He almost, this is a breakdown frame that I chose to do. So his expressions and everything aren't as clear, but I chose to do it on purpose because I want to know what his intermediate expressions are when he's opening his eyes and they're not fully open. How do we handle that, right? So his eyebrow is up here like that, and this one comes here. Right, now he's always got one eye width apart, so that's how I'm finding it very, very easy. Look, there's no light box on. You'll see I used the light box when I was working with the silhouette, just a little bit, not too much. I should never use light boxes to animate, but that's the breaking down and in-betweeners game, right? But it just enough to let me see the arcs, right? But now you'll see I'm not using any of that. I'm just flipping forwards and backwards to watch how the drawing's changing, right? Now we're going to get this in here like that, and this comes here. That's a nice expression. This mouth comes down. Now we have this. So this little nuance here just gives his muzzle a little bit of dimension. We're going to go straight and up and have a little bit of his tongue. So it looks like he's saying an L shape, because that tongue is curled up to the bottom. And that's gold for me, because I'm going to make a memory map of all these little mouth shapes so I can use them for my character. So you guys who are wanting to design your own characters, right? I highly recommend, rather than just doing digital painting and illustrations, if you want to be an animator, you're wasting your time doing all of that. Really, I mean, I know it looks nice for social media. Like, I post images of my sketchbook and some people like it, but I think people like the colored stuff and all that. Personally, though, this is the stuff that's really going to help your drawings get a lot of life. And if you study people's like expressions and things like that, and then you can transition that into your own work, it's really going to help you a lot. All right, let's move on to the next one. Now the next one is a lot of fun. A lot of fun. Okay, so the next one, yeah, I think, yeah, so I think I chose this one. Let's do that one, yeah, where his mouth is fully open, right? So this one is a lot of fun. Look at the sudden angle change on the head with the ear. Now this is a swoop line that goes all the way up here like this. I'll just check the status of my stream. Am I still streaming? Yes, I am. Hung Ming Hui, the primary and secondary action exercises very moment. I'm on it. I can now see the silhouette shapes. Finally, I can watch and study these streams. Awesome. It's awesome talking to people who are actually studying from Real Animator Training Library that are having those light bulb moments, you know. Awesome, Hung Ming Hui. Thank you for sharing that with me. Good to make contact with you after a little while. You've been filling the group up with some awesome work, by the way, which we're going to be looking at on the next live stream. Right, so we've got this head here coming up like that. And this ear is at the back with the hat. The hat is actually to the edge of the screen. I'm really trying to get the framing right, only because I want to get my proportions of the character right from the silhouette. You see, I'm really trying to match my silhouette. This is I can't tell you how beneficiary. I can't tell you how beneficiary it is for you. I can't tell you how beneficial this is, right? For you, for your growth, as your drawing growth, right? In terms of filling in the face with the silhouette, right? Getting everything in the silhouette. That is just absolutely gonna help you get those really difficult. We can all talk about two of the laws of animation in a blanket sense, as if, oh yeah, because we all understand what exaggeration is, we all understand what appeal is, right? But I think this silhouette that I'm working on at the moment, right, and I'm trying to fill it in, so I'm just, is the perfect example of what I'm talking about, of like exaggeration and appeal done the right way, done in the best possible way, right? So we've got his eyebrows up here, right? And we're going to have some squash and stretch going on in these eyes. So even though, this is really important for me, because like even though his eyes, his mouth is wide open, his eyes have still got a bit of lid on them, which I'm finding fascinating. So we got a little bit of the eye hidden behind there. Now the first time I'm reusing the eraser, because I kind of done bad on that eye. I want to capture that. We got a bulge there, right? And we want to get that round. That's better. That's better, right? The nose is coming straight here like that. Now, the other eye is going into the hat, right? So this is going into the hat now, right? So it's coming around into the hat, and it comes in, and the mask is like this. So again, I'm trying to get those volumes correct. So again here, even though he's got like, this is amazing. So even though this is a super exaggerated mouth shape, the eyes themselves are not that bulging as I thought they would be, right? So I'm learning loads here. I'm learning a lot from this. So I'm gonna open that mouth. Now this is just incredible, right? I studied Shere Khan a little while ago, as some of you know. I think that stream is still up. Now he had a massive exaggeration on his mouth shape. And this guy has also got that. Now look how this line goes straight down here like this. And I need to see what this is in line with this. This is going to be about hair, right? About hair. I'm going to pick that up and open that through like that. Look at that mouth, man. That is just top bananas. Right, I'm going to open that there like that. Look how suddenly, like, you got this cartoony round mouth, and the teeth is going here, the teeth is going here to give it a little bit of dimension, right? And there like that. This is gonna go just a little bit out, and his teeth are just floating in there like that. So see, I would have really tried to draw those teeth in all anatomically, and sometimes less is more, you know. Once you understand those things, you put them in your drawings, but you willfully, you know, flatten things out. Now that tongue shape is like that. Now can I do this? Yes, I can. Almost. Right? Let's just do that. Right. So we have got the tooth there like that. Now we're going to have this. Let's just tidy that up a bit. I'm going to have this bottom lip like that. I'm spending a lot of time on that mouth because I really want to get it, right? It's so good. It is just so good. For me, that is so much harder to draw than a perfectly formed human being. Right, because it's like if I was going to try and do that expression, I would have already have put too much anatomy in the teeth and the jaw, and in all honesty, that would have killed it, right? And I know it kind of goes against what I'm teaching you guys, but it's like you got to fill. I'm always giving you my Zen philosophies. You got to fill your cup, right? And then you got to empty it. You can't not know that stuff. You got to know that stuff. You got to be good at that stuff. But then it's got to be times to be an editor and to edit out, you know, all of those things if need be. So here we've got this action in the face now. Isn't that nice? Right? Real nice exaggerated expression in the mouth. Dun, dun, dun. Right, let's look at the next pose, which is very subtle, but like so. I'm gonna put on the box for this one. So this goes down and this goes up, right? I'm putting that box on for a reason. So then this just, you'll see, like, I'm using the light box to make a few pinpoints, right? But I'm not going to let that dictate my animation, right? You're going to see it's going to go away in a minute, right? I think that's all I need. That's all I need, right? Let's just bring this and that side there like that. Yep, that's all I need, right? Now we can really see where the law of slowing in is really gonna do a lot of justice to this. So now this eye, let me just put that guy back on. I think the eye is gonna be a little bit higher, not too much like that. That's what we want, right? So this eye is more or less the same, right? So we have this coming here like that. And I'm focusing more on the little minor details here rather than trying to get the other stuff, because this drawing is so close and so similar to the previous one. But I selected it because it is a extreme and it works in conjunction with the previous to show you the squash and stretch that happens on the character's face, right? So the nose comes up. Oopsie, I didn't color in his nose. That's what was looking slightly off about that. I was thinking, what's happening there? Why does that look so strange? There we go. Right. So this comes up and around there like that. Can really see where this style of drawing influenced my one of my great inspirations in life, Mr. Don Bluth. Can really see Don Bluth's style coming from this movie. Really, I think, you can see it also from, he worked on Sleeping Beauty as well, but you can see where he really I think where he really learned his mastery of the craft working on projects like this. So again, they always say if you want something, you gotta go to the source, and for me, I've gone to the source material I've always gone to the source, which is what I'm trying to do, is inspire you people, inspire the people in the training library who are learning from me, but also anybody who got chances across my videos. I'm trying to inspire you people to, through my example, to kind of have a blueprint on how you can get better, how you can accomplish what I'm accomplishing here, but in relative terms to what your goals are, right? And that would be, so I tell you, you got to learn all these laws of animation. You got to learn all these, like you're watching me doing this at the moment, saying go to the source. So yeah, go and make some studies from Don Bluth, from Milk Call, or from anime, if that's your thing, and that's what your goal is. Yeah, so study from the source. But the thing is you're never going to stop studying, right? You are never going to stop studying. And sometimes when you'll first come across information, that information is fresh in your mind and you're kind of a little bit naive. You don't know enough, right? I still don't know enough, which is why I'm studying, right? You can never know enough. Just to be clear to you that I'm not talking you down, right? I'm here to help. But what the thing is once you understand these laws and things that I'm talking about, and you understand anatomy, and you understand drawing at a very high level, you come back to study again, and you start to see things that you never saw before, right? I've been studying this stuff since I was like in single figures, right? Age-wise, right? But like, I've always wanted to be an animator since the age of 8. And I've always loved traditional Disney, right? So I've been studying this stuff for goodness knows how long. And I've been studying this stuff when I was a professional in the industry, in my early 20s. In my 30s, when I became more of a storyboard artist. And that was one of the reasons when I decided I'd had enough of the industry, not because I didn't like storyboard, but because of the projects were getting so bad and drawing was getting less and less. It mattered less and less, and my drawing started going downhill. But now I've come back to study this stuff with all the new knowledge I'd gained from 15, 20 years in the animation industry. And it's like, it's all making even more sense to me now. It's like, wow, I understand this more now, I understand that more now. So yeah, you got to go to the source, but don't think that means skipping the fundamentals, right? You really have to learn your fundamentals. All right. Now this is where something really interesting is going to happen. He's going to start to change his angles. Is that the one? That's the expression. No. Is that the one? Yeah, that's the expression. That's the one. Right. So now we're going to suddenly change all this up a bit. So let's look at what's going on with the hat. There's going to be a dramatic change here, right? So the hat is going to come up here like this, with the side of the ear there like that. There's a little bit of action going on there, right? Now, got to be careful here. There's his hairstyle. The bit of his ear is up here like that. I'm kind of gonna go out of my silhouette there. So we're getting tighter on this character here. Now his eyebrow mask is almost one here. He's almost one like that. And his eyes are actually touching his eyebrows. So this is a dramatic change, so I'm kind of plotting the points. Now we've got a bit of space on the side of his eyes here. Interesting. So the nose is what's going to bring this all together, I think. So the nose comes straight. It's inside. Notice how the nose is outside of the character. Throughout all of this, the nose has been outside. No, the nose is inside here. But everywhere the nose has been outside of the silhouette. Now the nose is inside, and we're going to give it some foreshortening, right? So another thing is everybody's worried about volume. Like this guy's nose is growing and shrinking intentionally all the time within this flat silhouette of the guy's face, right? And that's the beauty of it. So all of you people who are so obsessed with trying to maintain form and volume that you're all the time worried about things changing size, you got to understand that it has to change size to create the illusion of dimension. And that's what foreshortening is. That's why this awful 2D rig puppet thing that they got going on, kind of like, for me, it's uncanny, and it just looks bad because it's just things sliding around in a way that's doesn't really, when you draw it, you can cheat it. This whole thing is a cheat. Now they've coloured his tooth in the colour of his tongue, and they've coloured his tongue in the colour of his tooth. Unfortunately, that's what happens when you have cell painting, and it's probably too late to repaint it. Don't have enough time. Right, so this comes here. You can see how I'm trying to fit that face in there. Let's go in and draw it now. I feel confident now, right? So let's go and put the eyebrow in like that. The other eyebrow comes up here. Awesome eye. So his eyelids go kind of behind the eyebrow. Now we change the angle of those, the bulge in his eye. Interesting. So the bulge in his eye is now on this side as he's making an angry expression. You see, they're not even being consistent with the eye, which is amazing for me, because like I would be like, oh, you got to be consistent with the eye. And the thing is in this world with all this CG and this wanting all this perfection, like I'm now embracing the imperfections. And you know what? For me, I don't consider this an imperfection, because when you watch it moving, you don't really notice all this stuff about the eye. It just feels so alive. And that's why this stuff was so good, I think, personally. Look at that expression, man. This character is just so unbelievably perfect. He's just the perfect cartoon balance. He's just an incredibly handsome hero as well. He's just incredibly handsome cartoon fox. It's just perfect. I can't stop praising this design. It's just one of the best designs I've ever witnessed. This movie and Sword in the Stone rank as, for me, some of my best animated movies ever. They're fun and in some respects silly movies with fun, silly stories. But you know what? I've just talked about how my dad died and I watched him being put on the earth on Zoom on my birthday. And I couldn't see my mum for 2 years because of the lockdowns. And all of the, forget me, but what about you, right? All the misery in your lives and all that stuff. So sometimes I think, having these fun, silly films isn't actually a bad thing, Yeah, I like my serious philosophy and all that kind of stuff, and the projects I'm going to make are going to be a lot more sincere in that sense. But one of the reasons I love this stuff so much is perhaps because I'm not capable of making these kind of stories. I'm not capable of doing this kind of stuff. I don't think like this, but we all need it. We all need laughter, silliness, merriment. And these guys do it so well, right? I mean, it's so sincere and believable. Like, look at this animation. Like, I'm looking at I can look at this stuff and as if I've done it, but I'm just making a study. Look at the animation that whoever did this scene is. I don't know if it was Milt Kahl. I don't know if it was Frank Thomas. I don't know if it was whoever. Right, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 drawings left to make and we're done. Right, how are we doing for time? Let me see how much of the stream. 1 hour 10 minutes. Can we get Scottish AMB? Well, I may offend my Scottish brother Cameron Allen Davidson Black if I do that. But I actually have Scottish blood in me, actually. That's the expression I want? Okay. Wow, that's an interesting expression. Wow, yeah, let's do that. Awesome. Okay. So I'll try and talk in a Scottish accent for you when I'm doing this scene here. You got Robin Hood. He's animated by a gentleman called Milk Cow, or maybe designed by one. And the character, what he's doing, you see the arcing of the head, a wee little arc down there like that, you know. And then he comes up and he goes over the mouth. It squashes and stretches. So it's stretch and squash, just like that. Anyway, so there you go. That's a Scottish AMB for you, right? I don't know where that comment came from. I don't think I'm known for making Scottish accents, but how bizarre, right? Right, let's get the hat angle in there. Look how the back of his head. Now this is a distortion of the angle of the hat. Again, I'm trying to get that right, so then that's gonna be less squashed. There, like that. Go in there. Yeah, I've got a lot of different heritage in me. I've got some Russian in me. I've got some Scottish in me. I've got some Persian in me. And I've got some Indian in me. I've got some Mongolian in me. So it's like crazy. Bum, 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 bum. I guess human beings are all from the same family. Right. So this opens up like that. The ear is higher like that. I think I actually am doing a slightly different expression to the one that I had, which is the silhouette is a little bit different, but it's worth it because his eyes are doing something really interesting here. Right, so let's try and get the eye. You see how the eye line and the nose is always what I'm thinking of to maintain my volume, but the eye line is actually changing. So his eye line is this way here, and it actually is still that way there, but it feels like it's changed. So actually I'm wrong, right? So his head angle has changed. This is like that. Up, out, there, down there like that. Now this eye comes up and this. So you see how I'm maintaining the eye volume like that. Now I'm going to change. This frame is tricky, no doubt. Probably the trickiest one I've come across so far. But we've got a squash in this eye and something of a stretch. Not a stretch, but just a normal eye in the other one. So this one is slightly bulging open a little bit. This is going to come down here like that. Alright. I'm really trying to make sense of this. Okay. Now we've got the nose foreshortened, which is going to be down here like this. Really interesting, the mouth on this guy. Alright, so this is going to open up. You can see that I'm being a lot less confident with my lines here, because I'm really trying to understand how the mouth is going to open so the bottom lip comes out there like that. Bum, 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 bum. With the teeth there like this. And the big, this is when he's saying long live King Richard. Right. Okay. It's amazing how the consistency is just maintained in this careful balance of these shapes. So around here, we're going to bring that there like this. And then this is very interesting. So we're going to have, yeah, no doubt about it, this drawing has tested me the most of all the drawings I've done from this scene. This one has really tested me. Okay, so go around here like that. Right, I think we're ready now. Let's just consolidate this. Right. So the eyebrow is in the hat. So I thought he changed the eye line here, but he didn't. Right? I thought he changed the angle of the head. He actually has changed the angle of the head, but he didn't change the direction of the eye line, which is what I thought. Right, so we're going to have the lid here like this. Amazing the way the bulge of the eye changes. That's what I really like about these older eyes. These eyes seem big actually, but the eyes in these films are way smaller than the stuff that was started coming out in later years. It's one of the things I've been quite mindful of when redesigning my character, is to bring the eye size down. I'm really enjoying this. I don't know how you guys are feeling about this stream, but I am really enjoying making studies of this character. It's just such a joy to see such perfect expressions. That's the only word I could use to describe these drawings of this character's expressions. They're just perfect. They just ooze appeal and charm. Alright, so we've got some follow through and drag on that ear. So that ear is dragging into shot. Now we're going to really see this sudden change up in the expression of the head. Thank you, people. Just reading some of the comments. I wanna learn Scottish accent. Brilliant, AMV. How are you doing, Ed Tato? How are you? Right, okay, let's save this. Oopsie, I was saving on the wrong screen. And I did it again. I gotta get used to pressing my Cintiq screen. There we go. Right, I'm interchanging between screens because, okay, is that the one? That's the one. That's the one. Okay, yeah, and then he goes down. Okay, bear with me. Okay, now this expression is the biggest fun, right? So check this out, right? This is just so much fun. Right, so we're gonna have, let's do this in Scottish if people like my Scottish accent. So you got a big line going over there like that, and up here what we got a big nose. Not a wee nose, big nose. It comes over like that. You go on through there, and you create another mark there like that. Then we're gonna have ourselves a big shape coming down, just like that. So it's almost like a big shape like that. Like that. Now he's suddenly gone into a West Country accent. So you got your mouth coming like that. I'm losing it. Too much, juggling too many things with my concentration. Look at that open mouth. It's so cool. Right. So I'm going to have this eye here like this. Look at how they sort out the angle of this eye. They just create an eye socket shaped like that. Man, this stuff is just gold. This stuff is just animation gold. Right, this comes around like this. This eye in here like that. Look at that. It's just so perfect. Just like so, this comes in here like that. There we go. Now we have a little bit of the other eyebrow there to keep the width, and the way they solve the angle of the head, they put his little tuft of hair in there like that. Come in there. This nose is like this. Can we do that? Yes, we can. That saves a bit of time. So, oopsie, no, that's too much. That's too much. We had it right the first time. So it goes like that. Go straight down. Look at this expression, right? So what's going to give it some depth is this. We're going to come out. We're going to curl it back. So that's literally the mouth shape. Simple and clean. Little bit of a row of bottom teeth. See, I would have gone and put all these other teeth in there like that. I'm so glad I'm looking at these mouth shapes, because I want to get more simple when I start editing certain things out of my designs. There we go. Look at that. Let's just fill that in, shall we? Oopsie. Let's make that like that. Oh my God. Right, there we go. Right. Now this is going to bring it all together. This shape, right? You see how it's only just for one frame, right? But it's so appealing. Let's just bring that straight down like that. So appealing, so simple. I wouldn't have dared draw a facial expression like that. I would have tried to make more of it. I would have tried to put more anatomy in it, and it would have not had. It would have been a failure. Not necessarily a failure, but it wouldn't have been as good an expression of those fundamental, what I call elusive laws of animation that are, I think, are so overlooked because everybody just offhand thinks they understand those words, which are appeal and exaggeration. I think personally that while the fundamental laws of animation, the three fundamental laws of animation are timing, arcing, slowing in and slowing out, I think the three laws that make you a master animator and make you a really good animator, or separate the men from the boys or the boys from the girls or whatever you want to call it, right? For me, are appeal and exaggeration. Those two laws are the laws that once you get those down and you start putting those in all of the rest of your work, you're made. You really are. And for me, I'm refining myself by looking at those laws. Right, so now we're going to have this expression. Alright, so we're going to kind of keep. What happens? Let me just check. What's going on with his... Okay, yes, so his nose is actually coming down a little bit. Right. So then this is going to go off to the side a little bit. I see. So we're slowing out. We're slowing out of this expression. But as we're slowing out of the top, we're slowing in with the bottom as we're rising up. Right? So this nose is going to be here. It's going to come down. The eye is going to kind of move along just a little bit, like that. See, the danger is using the light box, but I'm just using it to plot. I'm not going to actually animate with it. Right? See, because that's where you'll get the unnatural drift in the eye. Okay, so this is the first time. So this is I'm learning how to make the F shape, right? So we're getting a crease in there like that. It's going to come down. What a great mouth shape, right? And we're going to have the teeth coming in. They're always slightly going inwards, like that, which is going to puncture his bottom lip. Man, this is so good. Then this is going to come straight down and go out. Perfect. Absolutely perfect. Right, this is going to come along the side. There, like that. Pum, 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 pum. Really see the movement in this guy's head is just incredible. So much life to it. So we have this coming here like that. One at the bottom. Only one more drawing left, and then we'll have a little bit of a chat afterwards, right? So if you got any questions for me, think about putting them down in the chat, right? So we just have one more drawing left. Right. So let's bring that nose down a little bit. Let's consolidate this frame. Let's just consolidate that mouth shape. Pretty much spot on there. Right, let's get this eye. So one thing I may have missed on the previous one is that upper lid. They tend to keep his upper lid all the time. That's nice volume control on that eye. Right, so there we have that. There, like that, this round shape. I love that. That is something, a really good takeaway for an up angle on the eye for me. Again, I would have gone very anatomical on that. Not necessarily bad, but as I said, I'm learning how to empty my cup at this present stage of my own development. By all means, drink from the cup of knowledge. You got to drink from the cup of knowledge, but then after, what you got to do is you got to empty it. If you don't empty the cup, it's going to overflow. and then it's gonna run down and contaminate. There you go. Somebody's got me started. If Cameron Alan Davidson Black is watching this, I hope he takes it in good spirit. You know, I don't want anybody to feel that I'm having a laugh. You know, Cameron Alan Davidson Black is a library member that I have a lot of time and respect for. He is really, really illustrating the art of self-improvement. You know, very, very determined chap. Right. That's a nice, subtle move, right? Okay, last frame, and then we're going to go and take some questions. Okay, so this last frame is mid expression. So back to the hat. Okay, so the hat actually comes up here like that. Let's make these big swooping lines like that. Right. And then this comes in. Now the hairstyle comes up over. Look at this, right? Again, let's just bring that other ear in there as well. So you can see how my brain is looking at the science of shape simplification. So while it looks like I'm doing amazing hand-eye coordination, and it is hand-eye coordination, I am doing that. It's not as, you know, coordinated as you think, right? It's coordinated, but I'm using a lot of knowledge of structure, right? These are drawing fundamental basics, right? That are extremely important if you want to get good at the drawing aspect, which is a whole new a whole different aspect. You know, the animation is those 12 laws, and we got this line here still going on in there, but you got to also work your drawing. Now, some people foolishly believe that if you got good drawing, you've got good animation. But if you follow me, you understand that I don't give things a pass just because they're hand-drawn animation, right? I don't care if it's hand-drawn. If it's shit, it's shit, right? If it's stiff, it's stiff. If it lacks life, it lacks life, right? You gotta, I can understand certain stylistic choices and this and that, but at the end of the day, arcing, timing, slowing in, slowing out, pose to pose, straight ahead, follow through, overlap and drag, solid drawing, squash and stretch, primary and secondary action, anticipation, exaggeration, appeal, and staging. Those things are extremely important when you animate. And if your work doesn't exhibit that stuff, and it can be drawn as nicely as you like it to be, it's not necessarily going to be particularly good animation. And that's just a fact. It's not like, you know, it's like saying I'll work out, I'll do lots of push-ups, but why aren't I a good soccer player? I did a lot of working out, I did so much push-ups. Well, how much soccer did you practice? It's so obvious. Yet you have people out there that think, oh, if you get your drawing down, the animation's easy. Yeah, just make it move. Like, whatever, man. Whatever, yeah. Move along, Junior. Yeah. There you go. It's sad. It's a sad state of affairs. But I'm here to help those who want to be helped, those who want to be elite level hand-drawn animators. Right, so I'm taking my time on this last pose because for me, I'm now just relaxing and enjoying. Right, let's just open up this ear a little bit. Comes back in here like that. All right, let's consolidate this. So the hardest part of this drawing is the eye shape. Right, so we're gonna, again, they're echoing the shape of the brow. And it's so important to get them the right shape or it's gonna look flat. Which is why I think throughout this animation he's been changing the angle of the bulge of the eye and all that kind of stuff. He knows, right? The volume doesn't matter as much as the appeal in the drawing, right? It has to matter, right? As I said, you got to some of you are going to listen to that and think, what's he talking about, right? But as I said, you got to drink from your cup and then empty your cup. So that way you kind of know how to not break the law, but work with the law and cheat a little bit to get things looking good, right? So he knows that he'll rather go for those strange bulges in the eye that are inconsistent. Man, this... But... and have a lot more appeal in the look of the character. Right, so we're almost done with this. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to have a little recap and point out all the little animation nuances at the end for you. And then we're going to have a little bit of a hangout, not too long. It's 12:45 a.m. in the morning. So I've done the last drawing. How long has the stream gone on for? 1.5 hours. Okay, 1.5 hours, not bad. Right, so let me save that. Ooh, my hands on the express keys were a little bit... my wrist is a little bit aching after keeping them positioned like that. So, yeah, I was singing praises on the express keys, but that could be a bad trade-off. Right, so anyway, so this is the facial animation we did. And this is not in between. It is just what I made out as the extreme skis with one odd breakdown here and there. But we can really see we've looked at the appealing expressions in the drawing. As I've been doing this, we've been talking primarily about drawing, but I'm gonna now talk about the animation aspect. So I'm gonna change. Let's use this bright blue. So this is like a take, right? So the old take is like a bouncing ball. So the arc is going to go down and up and back again, right? So I do that in my basic head turn, right? So we can see that arc, right? And then it goes all the way up, actually. So that's a basic take action, where he blinks into the squash and then up into the stretch, right? The squash and the stretch, right? Now we do some slow in, right? So like the bouncing ball, what happens when the ball goes down, right? Squashes. Then when it goes up, right? Let's come up on a half and a half. So we're doing what we call a slow in, right? So we have the slow in as he's doing the dialogue, right? And you can really see the expression change, right? He's gone from this kind of angry expression to this, he's kind of shouting something that he really believes in. He's like, he says, "Long live King Richard," or something like that, right? So he's kind of like, it changes from this angry into this kind of like neutral expression, right? Which is really noticeable. So that's going a bit beyond the basics there. So now we're coming back down in the bouncing ball, right? So I haven't done all the in-betweens. So we're coming down and we're bouncing straight back up again, right? So we've gone this way. Oopsie, the arc has gone down and up. Now it's going down and back again, right? Remember the weighted pendulum swing that we do in the basics archive? Like that. So his, with that figure of 8, so his head is making our figure of 8, right? The figure of 8 is being made, right? So we can see it's gone up here, now it's gonna come down again, then it's gonna go up again and come down again, right? It's not gonna be any obvious figure of 8, but it's that principle, right? Down, up, down again, right? And you can see we've got the head from this side now to this side, right? So we see the change in the angle of the head there, like that. Oopsie, we undid one too many undos. So we have that, and again we've now got the going back into the angry expression, right? And then as soon as he opens his mouth, it kind of gets less angry and he's kind of come out of the angry. So we're kind of dancing between the angry expression and the not so angry expression. So the mouth shapes are fascinating, right? Essentially we've got mouths that are virtually closed, and or they are wide open. So they're the two extremes, you know. We've got a mouth that's tiny and a mouth that's absolutely huge, right? And it doesn't make the blindest bit of difference. The character still feels sophisticated, cartoon but real. It's the perfect balance, right? And hopefully you've been able to see just how much you can push these drawings. And that's where you kind of avoid these flashing dialogues, because you kind of in between, like here we slow in before we close that mouth, right? And I haven't done all the in-betweens, so then here we'll be doing a similar kind of thing. We'll be slowing into the f shape, right? Before we come to open it again. So that's basically it. He blinks once and he blinks twice. So not necessarily blinks. Here he blinks. Here he closes his eyes to shout. Right, and then it cuts. So that's it. That is essentially the Robin Hood breakdown. I'm going to leave that up for you as a gift to all you awesome people. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to come to the chat. But before I do so, I'm going to talk about very quickly. I'm not going to spend too long on this. I'm going to talk about where, if you liked today's stream, you can find a whole load of that stuff in the Real Animated Training Library. Now, you all talk about, when we talk about Real Animated Training, you go to ambanimation.com, click on Real Animated Training, join now. Now, we always talk about the training archives. Here's someone who joined. Wait, you can see people's work. where you follow step-by-step courses where you actually learn the laws of hand-drawn animation through basics. We've got a basics archive, we've got an intermediate archive, we've got an anatomy archive, we've got an advanced archive, and they're all step-by-step, follow along, except for the seminar lectures. I'm now building a new archive called the Pro Archive, which is what we do after advanced. So that's the real kind of training, but we don't really talk much about the edutainment, which is more like what you've seen today, right? You can't, this isn't really an animation course for you to follow. It's just inspirational kind of tips and tricks. Now, you can watch these videos if you really want to go in here, and these are priced a lot lower because they're more kind of entry level, right? So we've got this thing called animation breakdowns. So if we click on that, you can watch this video, but if you can see here, if we go on, oh well, I'll have to click play because I'm not logged in. That's one of the main things to take note about the overall performances there. Now we'll get into the personalities, okay? Aside from that, that's personality too. So I mentioned this before, he's talking to the boy, and everywhere he looks, so you can see, like, I've broken down Disney squirrels. Okay. What we've done, okay, we have this, okay. Yeah. Timing-wise thing, so there's a bit. Here you can see me breaking down some anime, some Thundercats, right? There's some Warner Brothers stuff in here. So there's a whole host of stuff for you to study in here, and this is just 50 great British pounds, right? So a ton of great videos for you to watch. So the edutainment archive is extremely fairly priced. For, you know, it's very different to my training material, and you're not going to really learn how to get to the level, you know, to be able to do this stuff like a pro, because that's what the training material's for. But if you want to watch it, if you enjoyed today's stream and you want to watch stuff like that, then go check it out. It's realanimatortraining.com, animation breakdowns. But this one is on there for you for free. I'm going to leave this one on here for you guys to enjoy. It's my kind of gift to you guys, since I have not streamed for almost a month. All right, now let me make myself big. Let me put myself on the webcam. And let's see if you guys have got any questions or what you guys have been saying in the chat. Are you going to finish the law of staging in the intermediate archive? It is kind of finished as far as intermediate goes. That's all you need to know. We're pushing the law of staging more so in the Pro Archive with the dialogue test that we're doing with the Great One. And we are then going to be doing an intro to an animated intro to a song, like, because I'm going to be doing like I'm developing an 80s style animation show. Now I've written this song. I'm not going to play it all for you, but I'm going to give you a sneak peek. I'm going to give you a sneak peek of it. So I've written this song and I've got it. My musician has done a great job, and we got somebody to do the actual singing for it. Is this the one? Yeah.
To merge, fulfill the destiny, the infinity, raise the infinity.
I'm not going to play it all for you because that's going to spoil it, but I'm going to show you how to storyboard an animated intro. That's what we're going to do in the Pro Archive. You're going to watch me storyboard. How long is this song? It's about 1.5 minutes or a minute. You're going to watch me storyboard. Like, here we go.
Over us. Raise the Infinity Sword. Fulfill your destiny. Become the Alpha.
Power that's infinite exists in you. It's light eternal, guides your soul. Now you see an unknown path that you must take. And when your energy's aligned, you will win the fight.
And that's all you're getting. That's all you're getting. So I wrote that song. Yeah, Alpha Band. I wrote that song. And some of you have been seeing, like, if you go, you see some live streams where I'm designing the characters for it on paper. So I wrote the lyrics, got my music guy to do the music, found this awesome singer from Fiverr.com, believe it or not. Exactly the kind of voice I wanted. And yeah, so so you're talking about the law of staging. We're gonna be doing that in the Pro Archive, because you got to, real animator training is a journey. Now when you come off the Advanced Archive, it's not like you're still gonna say, well, how am I gonna design characters, how am I gonna animate? I know all this stuff and I can kind of do this stuff, and if I follow somebody else's model, then I can do it. But what about my own stuff, and what about taking it to the next level? Well, that's what the Pro Archive is going to be. It's going to be like, okay, well, how do you draw? How we're working on how to improve your drawing, how to apply all the stuff you've learned in drawing, and then how we're doing staging with dialogue, and we're doing really complicated dialogue, actually. I think that's going to be my best piece of animation that I've ever done, the way it's going. But we'll see. I always think that when I'm doing something. And then we're going to be storyboarding an animated intro, like a old 80s anime stroke American Saturday morning style intro. We're going to be storyboarding it to match that song. And yeah, Alpha Man is another AMB project, along with Groundhopper and Little Red, that we're going to try and get off the ground to keep this thing going. Alright, let's have a look at the chat before I go, because it's now 1 a.m. in the morning here. Okay. Yes, there is a long interview with Milt Kahl on Disney Family album, Deruji. I recommend everybody watch that, and watch all of the Disney Family albums on YouTube. Frank Thomas is another great one. I mean, they're all great, but definitely they're on YouTube. Come on, watch Disney Family album. Good call, Deruji. Yes, Hung Ming Hui is on fire with his live post. How would you arc a head turn? That's the most basic, simple one. I've got a few videos online where I'm actually animating head turns live. I animate a Studio Ghibli head turn with the spider guy from Spirited Away. Just check my channel out, Quick of Heart. In the live sections, not, you know, I animate, hang on, let me just show you. Like, all of these are for you to see. Let me just turn that off. So I got a series of videos on my YouTube channel. Here's one head turn we do of the Sea Beast guy. Here's the head turn from Emperor's New Groove. I ask my audience, and the audience tells me the character, and I do it live. Here's Bolto. And here's, okay, that's the skip cycle. Here's the Studio Ghibli one. Right. So these are all live for you guys to check out. let's have a look. I think somebody has just purchased a training library basics course. Okay, so I have got a basics course purchase. Yes, I'm getting an email from that person now. Shannon Noah. Okay, yeah, there's a issue with her login, which is what I figured might happen because my current... Okay, Shannon, if you are online at the moment, I will sort that out as soon as I get offline. I don't know if you're online at the moment and you watch the stream, but I will sort that out as soon as I get offline, which won't be too long. Unfortunately, let me find my webcam here. There is a slight glitch. Sometimes I love to noise up my family shouting 1 o'clock and all's well. It's from the movie Robin Hood. Kevin. I don't see Kevin Silver on today's stream. Moy Tunes. Exactly, they want it to be so on model that it keeps telling them, why don't you just use the rigs or cutout then? Okay, I remember Hung Ming Hui telling me about that primary and secondary stuff. When do you think the review stream might be? I have certain animation I'm planning to put up for review. I've got so much stuff to catch up on, Mage Burger, that I can't guarantee that I'll do some current stuff. The review streams are not... I can't do review streams every week anymore like I used to, but I try to do at least 2 a month. Naturally, because of what's happened with my coming to the UK, not having a Cintiq here, that's kind of affected that schedule. So we've got some, I can't guarantee that I'll be able to look at everything. I really like the finger and moon example indeed. Deruji has gone. Drawing cute, heartwarming slice of moments is my antidepressant, absolutely. Cameron, really Bonnie. Thank you, Black Manic. I love the commentary and actual results on the screen are mind-blowing in every direction. Thank you very much. I'm glad to be here too. Robin Hood along with Pinocchio are my favorite classical Disney films. Good choices. 2 masterpieces. Dylan does a Scottish accent as well. Loving the stream, feels like a true belong for me. Felt lonely without the streams. Well, I'm happy to be back. I'm happy to be back, Cameron. And he approves as a Scottish, he approves. AMB, I know you dislike 3D animation, but accents give me Shrek vibes. Okay. Don't necessarily dislike 3D animation. I just think everything has its place. Jurassic Park, Dragonheart, even Casper the Friendly Ghost couldn't be done. The live action movie couldn't be done without CG, and CG's perfect. So it's not that I dislike CG animation, I just think everything has its place. Disney characters were designed to be 2D. As drawings, they're extremely sophisticated and artistic, and as CG, they just look like Mattel toys, and they just look childish, and for me personally, it just doesn't have the sophistication that the drawings have, therefore making it just a whole, just making it just childish to me. It's all childish, you know. It is for children, and as it is for adults, it's family entertainment, but it's just something about the CG interpretation of those characters that I just think just kills the sophistication out of the design. Senses all of those beautiful shapes that we saw studying that Robin Hood are just lost in translation, and it just feels like a toy, like a child's toy moving around. Well, that's cool. Yeah, Charlene noticing the subtleties. How to be aware of the principles when blocking out the keys. Make sure that you understand the principles. Make sure that you're always going back to arcing, timing, slowing in and slowing out. Those are the main principles. They're the foundational principles. You can look at the other stuff as well, but if you're looking at follow through, overlap and drag, you can bet it'll be following something going on an arc, right? You're going to be looking at the spacing, which is the slowing in and slowing out. You're going to understand what that's leading into. Is that going to lead into an anticipation? Is that going to lead into, you know, if we're talking the other stuff like primary, secondary action, those kind of things, that'll come afterwards as you start looking a bit deeper. But if you want, you know, squash and stretch again is related to the arc. And are you slowing into that squash and stretch? Are you using that squash and stretch because you don't have as many frames? So you're treating it like what some people call a smear frame. So again, that's to do with slowing in and slowing out and moving from pose to pose. Dun, dun, dun. Thank you for talking about the training archive. That was the thing about the law of staging. Your sound's crackling, but it ain't no big deal. Okay. People enjoying the Alpha Man soundtrack. Ding McHugh, how are you? Thanks for introducing yourself again. I got a question. Is the Facebook group only for sharing their progress? No, not at all. It's for anybody who's seriously... come on, Tim, you watched enough streams of mine to see me giving people my time, whether they're in the training library or not. But it's not a dumping ground for people who don't look like they've spent much time trying to learn animation. I don't want to see sliding cutout shapes and saying I'm really practicing my walk cycles. That's not practicing your walk cycles. I don't want to see people sharing things saying like, share and subscribe. You know, work hard. You know, if you want people to like your work, then run some. If you want publicity, then pay money. I spend a lot of my own money. There was one time I was spending £1,000 a day on Facebook ads, right? £1,000 a day on Facebook ads. That's £7,000 a week to get my business up and running. People think they can just come into a group and just dump stuff that they haven't really passionately cared about or work about. That's not what this group I've worked hard to build the training library, and I've worked hard to build a community of people that are dedicated to expressing the craft of hand-drawn animation at its highest possible level and who want to get to that level. And I celebrate anybody who wants to do that, whether they're a member of my training library or not. And I give them my time. I look at their work and I talk to them if it grabs my attention and I see this person's really tried. There's a guy in the chat called Daniel Ferraz. He calls himself Real Animator Learning. He's not a training library member, but I've given him lots of my time. I've done it with many people, but the thing is what I don't I'm serious about hand-drawn animation, and I like the people that follow me to be serious about it. And I'm here to help you, and I'm here to give you my time, but I'm not here to waste my time, and I'm not here to deal with people that are just going on every animation group dumping their, for want of a better word, work. Just going through the motions of thinking they're doing something. That's not what real animator training is about. My brand is about real animator training. Thank you, Dylan Royer. We are friends. We're friends online. How long you become a 2D animator? Well, I can't say personally, but I mean, you'll become a 2D animator the day you decide to be one. And when you decide to be a 2D animator, then you got to act like a 2D animator. Okay. Now, acting like a 2D animator means doing what needs to be done. So, what do we know about the 12 laws of animation? What do we know about anatomy? What do we know about drawing? What do we know about filmmaking? What do we know about script writing? What do we know about character design? What do we know about composition, photography, cinematography? What do we know about art direction? There's so much involved because animation is an umbrella term. So you can be a 2D animator right now, but then you got to start acting like one right now. So you decide if you're an animator or not, not me. But then you got to look yourself in the mirror and say, do I feel like an animator? Now, you may not have the skills that you think you should have, but you could still feel like an animator. I felt like that all my life, even when I was a little kid. When I was 15, watching Aladdin, wanting to be an animator, I felt like I was an animator then. You know, my brother was going and talking to James Baxter. He was in London working in a studio called Passion Pictures, giving my brother drawings, going and seeing Uli Meyer, the guy who was the Space Jam animation director for the Space Jam that was farmed out to the UK. He designed the Shrek Hammer. Go out and meet these people. Ask them advice. You can talk to me. You don't have to go out to meet people. You can talk to me. You can talk to Aaron Blaze. You can talk to Bancroft. You can talk to whoever, as long big name out there. You can already start feeling like an animator now. But then you gotta think of it like playing catch up, right? You feel like one, and then you got to do what's necessary. And only you know if you're being serious about it or not, right? And that's what makes the difference. Is like, well, okay, you say you're an animator, you ain't got to prove it to anybody, you got to prove it to yourself. That's who you got to prove it to. You don't have to prove it to me. You have to prove it to your mom, your dad, or your friends, or the industry. You got to prove it to yourself. How do you feel? Do you feel like you're an animator? Right. Ever since I was a little kid, I've always felt like I was an animator. I wouldn't do anything else. Since I was 8 years old, it's always what I wanted to do. And I played catch up ever since then. And here I am, exceptionally good at what I do. Because I've always felt that that was what I am. You know? And I believe whether it's in this life or the next, I will always be a hand-drawn 2D animator. That's my belief. So, you call the shots. It's nice to see how much of those guys are actually humble. They are pretty easy to talk with. Yes, indeed they are. Joseph Emmanuel, how are you? Now, we have had an amazing stream. We've had an amazing hangout session. I do have somebody that has invested in the Real Animator Training Library, and they're probably wanting to get on into their archive right now. and customer care is extremely important to me. So if you're online, I'm very, very sorry if you've had to wait. I'm going to go and sort that out right now. It's been awesome reuniting with you all again, and we'll be doing another stream this week. If not this week, next week we'll be doing some review stream. I hope you enjoyed the Robin Hood breakdown as much as I enjoyed doing it, and I'll see you all on the next stream. And remember, keep it real.